Yeah, I fix toilets in the movie theater all the time.
Oh, then you were. I can, the movie theater toilets probably way worse than restaurant toilets.
God, you have no idea.
Yeah. Like kind of like a bar toilet or something.
If you knew what I knew, you'd never touch a seat in a movie theater ever.
And I don't.
Welcome to the Everyone's a Critic movie review podcast. I'm your co-host, Bob Zarrell.
What would you do if you had $1 million?
I'll tell you what I'd do, man. 2 chicks at the same time, man.
With me, as always, is professional film critic Sean Patrick.
I am the smart. I am the smart. S-M-R-T. I mean S-M-A-R-R-T.
And Josh Adams.
My wife, she is pain in my asshole.
I couldn't find that quote. He said the neighbor is a pain in the asshole, and his wife is something else. I mean, maybe
right,
later on in the movie he says it, but
my neighbor, pain in my asshole. Yes.
I thought about editing the two together. I'm like, well, he did a good enough job by himself. Why not just grab what he did?
Thank you very much. I mean, there's no way that I can sound like a tall British man impersonating a Kazakh, but I've given it my best shot over the past 10 years since I first watched Borat.
You and millions of other people.
The only reason why it would have any pertinence to me is that I pride myself on giving it my best effort, kind of like karaoke and singing. It might suck, but I'm passionate about it. Fake it until you make it, that kind of thing, you know. I should star in a Jennifer Lopez movie.
How was second act?
I don't remember.
We never did talk about that. But in terms of news and trailers, like we'll start with trailers. If there is news, we can add that on later on. Let's start with John Wick 3.
John Wick 3 Parabolum. Which I don't know what that means exactly, but the story goes that, of course, at the end of John Wick 2, he'd basically broken the rules, and every assassin in the world was now going to come after him, and now he's got to go to war with everybody. The entire assassin world is after John Wick, except for maybe Halle Berry. We don't know yet where she stands. But if it's the same... I don't know who's directing this one. If it's David Leitch again, then maybe this could work.
Stahelski.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe. Maybe. I don't know. I'm a little unnerved by this premise because it kind of loses all the fun stuff. The fun side stuff maybe is a little lessened if you can't access it like you did in the other movies.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I still haven't seen the second one, and I understand that it's got cult appeal, but when I watched that first one, I still was underwhelmed, and it could be one of those, if I had seen it in the theater at the time, exceeded expectations, but I was definitely let down, thinking that's some cool gunplay, but it doesn't mean anything to me. I liked your idea that never happened about the hotel quite a bit better than the actual film. And in this one, all I see in the trailer is, oh, look, they're not even taking it seriously this time. They're just, it's a shoot-up. Ha, 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 ha. You know, and that doesn't work for me because I had no vested interest in apparently the best film of the series. We'll see. I probably won't, though.
I still haven't seen the first one, so maybe I'll need to when it comes to all this. If I even have, it really depends on how it lands. If there's time to watch,
I'd recommend it. I mean, it's.
I understand.
It's a good movie.
It's just this podcast. Sometimes we'll be like, let's watch Harry Potter this week, and then it screws John Wick up. Just depends on what's going on in our schedule. I don't know what comes out.
You know, what's weird is that I wrote one bad thing about John Wick, and I still get comments about it. People just losing their mind, all because I criticized the portrayal of women in the movie.
I don't know. Like, we, to this day, still get comments on the whatever you wrote for our site, and I don't really share them with you because it's just... It'll be like a month late. Every month there's something new about how you're an idiot first. So I don't even remember what you wrote. I'll read the comment. I don't remember the review, but you're right. It's something about the portrayal of women, and
They're so unnecessarily angry about it, and they don't really have any reply to it. It's just a lot of vitriol.
And they talk about your idiot.
Yeah.
Like your personal idiot because they forget to use the apostrophe. Sorry, grammar Nazi here. I can't help it.
Speaking of all up in arms, Ghostbusters was a teaser. Nothing really more than they're not rebooting, but they're continuing on the original franchise. Thoughts?
Whatever. Cool. I like Jason Reitman. I think the idea is going to be, as much as other people might get upset about it, it's going to be younger people, teenagers perhaps, mixed team, girls and boys. So, yeah, it gets you kind of around a lot of the minefield, I guess.
I think with the success of Stranger Things, the success of bringing all things 80s back to the foray, that's why this one all of a sudden has a voice. They got to get it in before the 80s stops being cool anymore. And I enjoy this little teaser. I enjoyed the news. It came out of absolutely nowhere, considering for years and years and years we've heard about it's dead, Harold Ramis dies, and then it's really dead. And then we get the reboot, or the different film that has cameos in it and whatnot. I'm all for this if it's good. I started to hear about what they were going to do with teenagers and whatnot, and if they don't have any of the original cast in there, I don't really know why it would happen. So I think that they had to have gotten some predetermined commitments from Murray, Aykroyd, and Winston. Gosh, Ernie Hudson, yeah. And perhaps even more, like Rick Moranis, Sigourney Weaver.
Or just one. I mean, they might just have Dan Aykroyd. I mean, who knows? As long as you...
He definitely would be involved in it. I think if he could pay them, he would be involved in it, based off of what I know of him. I don't know. It came out of nowhere. It excited my child a whole lot, and that teaser just gave me a big-time vibe of all the things they're doing homages to that look like the 80s, and the trailer gave me that. I think it probably satisfied a lot of people, except Leslie Jones.
Yeah, well... I'd imagine pretty much everybody associated with that cast is not all that excited about it. I guess I'm shocked that Jason Reitman's doing it, because other than the last name, they're nothing alike. Ivan Reitman movies are nothing like Jason Reitman movies, so it's, in a way, it's kind of cool that he's doing this.
It's an opportunity to show a different side of himself. I mean, he's never done as I would say, he's never done a broad comedy. He's done comedy, obviously, but it's always been his sort of vibe. So this would definitely have to be far more broad than anything he's ever done.
And he's never worked on a blockbuster type. I mean, he's had huge blockbuster type movies, but they were low budget indie movies that happened to go, like Up in the Air and Juno, were not meant to be, whatever they made. They were supposed to be smaller movies, and they made a lot more money than they're supposed to. This is its own thing. It's its own universe, and I don't know. What are your thoughts on Leslie Jones? Does she have a valid beef?
Really, I think she has a valid beef, only that writing that project off so much, it almost validates the people that criticized them so much. That's the part that makes me feel for her a little bit. Of course, she doesn't own the property. She didn't write it, anything like that. So, okay, I'm halfway on it, is what I'm saying. She does and doesn't have a beef if they want to make another movie. Theirs got made. It's in existence, okay? I enjoyed it, and I still have enjoyed it over the past couple of years. I don't know. It's a tough ground to walk.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I like it, but I mean, I still like the first one better. I mean, I don't think that's insulting to the new one. And I don't know. Uncle Jeff suggested combining all the worlds, but I don't know. You don't just do it for the sake of doing it. If it makes sense, it makes sense. Which you brought up reasons why it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's just it's commerce. It's not even art. So, I mean, who cares really? And then A24's High Life. Can you see this one, Sean?
No, actually, I missed that one.
What'd you think of it?
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'm rubbing my palms together on for a good reason.
Here's why he's rubbing his palm together. Sexy sci-fi movie.
Just because the tagline said that doesn't mean. What I like is the mood of this
It's an
trailer.
oxymoron, really. Anyway, continue.
Yes, it seems to be set in space in the future. I've got vibes of Moon. I've got vibes of Gattaca, Solaris.
Twilight.
Only because Robert Pattinson is the lead, yes. But Juliette Binoche is in here as well, and it looks really good. Just looks-wise. I think that's the most important thing with science fiction with me. I'll put aside the fact that anything A24 would put out, I would be there for it. But whoever filmed this, I can't remember the director, it was definitely a female director.
Yeah, I can't remember either.
Yeah, and I heard about what she had done before as well. First name might be Claire, I think. Point is, it looks very interesting, and I'm on board.
Yeah, like you said, anything A24, even when they miss, they're at least trying to be original. When they miss, and they're usually, I don't know, they're other than like what Ghost Story or whatever that was called, and that was, even that was just boring.
I mean, a lot of people like that movie.
Right.
Oh, they're wrong.
But it's not. But again, it's more. It's more boring than it is bad. I think, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know.
It's daring. It's bold.
And that's
different.
That's what you can usually rely on from A24, even when they miss, is bold and daring for the most part.
That's very true. If you redefine what a pregnant pause means in my mind over City of Angels and things like that, then yeah, it matters. Ugh. I read a big preview of 2019 films this week, too. 7 different parts to it, and discovered a bunch of movies I didn't know about, including this Half-Life movie, so I'm clearly conflating something.
Claire Denise.
Something else.
Well, yeah, Claire Denis is pretty well known French, I believe, director.
For you. I had not heard the name. At least it wasn't a black ball memory ball in my head.
I am not sure if it's a woman, though.
It is.
It is? Okay.
Well, I guess I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah, it's definitely one.
Okay, good. The French, they can have names like,
Oh, tell me that.
How did you describe French-speaking people?
Put peanut butter in your mouth
dear God.
That's right.
and try and talk, and then you'll get close to the inflection that you need. I've tried really hard to discern, like at work, my owner and owner's son, they speak French fluently, so when they have to talk in coded verse, they start speaking in French, and I'm like, I would give anything to know French right now, but I just want to listen to it. I don't want to speak it.
Put your top 5. Who's your top 5?
We forgot to do the top 5 last week. It's top 5 clones. We're going to make you wait for Glass and Unbreakable and all that stuff. We will start with Cousin Jeff. He has Captain Rex, Commander Cody, Mini-Me, Ellen Ripley, and Boba Fett. Jason Mollett has the 6-day Multiplicity Invasion of the Body Snatchers, Resident Evil movie with all the clones, and the Stepford Wives. I just wrote all the clones and Multiplicity in the Prestige, which is a spoiler, as Sean said a couple of weeks ago. Josh, do you remember yours?
I do. I have it right in front of me.
Perfect.
I have Clone Commander Cody / Boba Fett in the retconned edition, played by Tamara Morrison / Daniel Logan in Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. Lincoln / Jordan, which is Ewan McGregor and Scarlett Johansson from The Island. Okay, moving on. Ripley 8 from Alien Resurrection. I have a soft spot for Shinzon, the Picard clone from Star Trek Nemesis. That would be a spoiler, too. Sorry about that one. And Sam, played by Sam Rockwell in Moon.
Do you have anything, Sean? I know we sprung it on you.
Not really. I mean, there aren't that many really great clones in movies that I like anyway. The only clone I've ever really loved is the clone of Doctor Who. David Tennant's Doctor Who gets to go and live with Rose in another universe.
I've never watched an ounce of Doctor Who, but I'll know that if I ever watch the David Tennant version.
That movie with Mark Duplass and
the one I love.
Were they? Yeah.
Yeah.
I like those clones too.
They were clones, weren't they?
Kinda. Yeah,
kind
I
of.
think so.
I guess I don't know.
I mean, they're clone enough.
But I
don't even know what I was meaning to.
Clone enough, close enough.
Oh, that wasn't an intentional.
You made a Josh joke and didn't even know it.
Things are turning up me. Give it up, man. You're next.
I almost hit the air horn when you were going through all the Star Wars episodes.
You had
on Facebook. You just said etc. You didn't list them all out.
Etc. Okay. Do you remember you had a joke about beavers a few weeks ago? You're like, I saw a beaver off the side of the road, and I had some terrible joke following that. I brought that up again today because I read an unfortunate story about a man assaulting a beaver, and he didn't get convicted. This is totally a side story, but then I tell Beth this, and then I'm like, do you think that beaver really gives a damn?
Wow.
I set that joke up for like 10 minutes trying to get her to get to that point, and then I did it.
And she still hasn't divorced you.
I know. Thank you, honey. I'm forever in your debt.
I need to use this air horn more. There was an opportunity for it, and I didn't hit it. Now the time has passed. In an effort to keep him waiting, what about Bigger?
Bigger stars Tyler Hoechlin, along with an appearance by Victoria Justice and Julianne Hough. And this is the story of Joe Weider, the very influential health magnate who actually went on to found Mr. Olympia and discover Arnold Schwarzenegger. This is a weird movie. It's kind of good. Tyler Hoechlin's really good in this movie. He plays Joe Weider, and while his accent is a little unwieldy and the makeup they put him in, old man makeup as he grows older, is kind of weird. Robert Forster plays him as an old man and doesn't even bother with either the makeup or the accent that the guy's using throughout the entire movie, so it makes it kind of strange. But there's a charm to the way that Tyler Hoechlin plays Joe Weider, because he's this very singular kind of guy. He has one vision, and he's just straight ahead and very genuine and earnest, and has really no sense of humor or sense of self-awareness, and I kind of liked that. I found it kind of weirdly charming the way he plays it. Everybody else in the movie kind of gets that. Like Julianne Hough and he have a really good romantic chemistry, but this is a director who's not very good at directing women, especially and writing women. His name is George Gallo, and you'd recognize a couple of things on his IMDb if you were looking at it. He's just not a great director. I mean, he'll have his characters, especially maybe he's just not a great writer for the most part. He'll have a character like Victoria Justice plays Joe's first wife, and suddenly, just out of nowhere, while he's working on his bodybuilding magazine, she just turns on him and goes, "Why are you wasting all your time on bodybuilding?" It's like, that's all the guy's ever talked about. How have you not known this? You married this guy, and that's all he talked about when you met, and it's all he's talked about since.
That is a solid
and she just turns on him and is like, "Why are you wasting all your time on this?" So they break up. Then he has a similar scene with Julianne Hough's character. She sticks around, and she's the wife that he has the rest of his life. But she has this scene where he brings up bodybuilding while they're having sex, and it's like perfectly natural for him to do this because this has just been who he is the entire movie. And she just loses it, and she's about to leave and walk out at him, and then she turns around and says, "I love you," and I'm not going anywhere. And it's like whiplash from one scene to the next. And there's a lot of scenes like that in this movie. And so it's not a great movie, but at the same time, I really liked the way that that Tyler Hoechlin played him. I really enjoyed that. There's also they found a guy who looks exactly like young Schwarzenegger, like exactly like it is. You double take when you see him.
I wonder who that is. They got a guy that looked a lot like Schwarzenegger to play the double in Terminator Salvation for his body, and they just grafted his face on there digitally.
Right.
I wonder if it's the same dude.
I don't know, but I mean, the face of this guy, the teeth, everything. Huh. It's perfect. He's just, you're like, wow. It's like he looks like Hercules in New York era Schwarzenegger.
Certainly.
He's only been in one other movie called Generation Iron 2.
Yeah.
His name is Callan von Moger.
Yeah. He's really good in the movie. Like, he really looks like Schwarzenegger, and he captures that spirit of Schwarzenegger a little bit. If I have another gripe with this movie, is that there is not a single mention of steroids in the entire movie. And I know Joe Weider was supposed to be about purity and about all this stuff, but you can't talk about bodybuilding and not talk about steroids. That you're just fucking around. You're just lying. Schwarzenegger took steroids. Everybody in the bodybuilding industry took steroids. For them to pretend that wasn't part of what Joe Weider was doing is just it's just intellectually dishonest to not mention that at all.
My daughter's calling. Sorry. Okay. I guess we can move on to our podcast.
That guy plays Superman now on the CW. Tyler Hoechlin, the little kid from Road to Perdition, if I'm not mistaken.
Really?
Yeah. Tom Hanks' son.
Glass.
I just assumed he was a guy from Teen Wolf. I didn't.
Could very well be.
I don't know. What was he saying? I'm sorry. What movie?
That's okay. We'll get to it later. Speaking of Schwarzenegger, there's this documentary coming out this year. I think James Cameron produced it. It's all about being vegan. I'm really looking forward to it. Schwarzenegger's in it too.
He's a vegan?
I don't know, but apparently maybe he's like Snoop Dogg just went vegan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, imagine a dude like him going plant-based. He's been plant-based for some time.
Yeah, but again. Look at you. You're on fire.
I just finished it, joke, that's all. But James Cameron and Schwarzenegger doing a vegan movie? I'm excited.
The current WWE champion is vegan.
Yeah, oh, he's not completely vegan.
He's not?
Yes. He has to have fish because of some... Which, I mean, I take fish oil, so I'm not really vegan either, so...
His omega-3, he needs that.
Right. All right. M. Night Shyamalan released part 3 to Unbreakable. It's called Glass. What'd you guys think?
Glass. This is, of course, the marriage of the Unbreakable universe and the Split universe that came together at the end of Split with the reveal of David Dunn's character sitting in the cafe. And basically we pick up the story from David Dunn has been fighting crime for the past 20 years with the help of his son and using his gifts. And he's trying now to find the Beast, who's, of course, revealed at the end of the last movie, who's been taking hostages and so on, and he's been trying to locate him, and finally he does, and there's a fight scene, and all this stuff, this buildup is actually pretty good. We're actually kind of into it, and it kind of does work. It does feel like a bit like they're going to marry Unbreakable and Split well enough, and then things kind of go off the rails a little bit when they get captured by the police. The two of them both get captured and taken by the police, or we think it's the police, but they also brought along a psychiatrist for some reason. And how did the police know where they were? Who called the cops to tell them that these guys were there and to bring this particular psychiatrist who happens to know just how to stop the Beast, even though nobody really knows that the Beast exists? I don't know. It's weird. I mean, I guess Anya Taylor-Joy probably told people that he exists, I guess. But still, how did the cops get there and bring this particular psychiatrist? Kind of pushing the level of credulity right off the bat for me. And then the movie really slows down for the second act. Like, it really takes its time. And, you know, the key to Split for me was that movie moved at a pretty good clip. Like, that movie kept, you know, as much as it had some flashbacks to it, there was still a good pace to that film. And Unbreakable had a different kind of pace, and trying to bring those two paces together doesn't quite fit for me. So it was always just a little bit offbeat throughout.
Well, it also doesn't help that the end result doesn't pay off. So whatever the pace is, if you're not going to get to where you need to get to,
Which in the end it doesn't. There are like 5 twist endings, and none of them they're all nonsense.
Well, just don't ask questions. That's really if you don't ask any questions, like you just did about them getting caught at the beginning, you might enjoy this. You might find it okay. But if you start asking questions,
I was so hyped for this movie, though. I was way too excited about this, and I mean, because I love Split, and I really like Unbreakable a lot. I mean, but Split is like my movie. Like I think I named it the number 1 or 2 movie of the year it came out. I love Split. And and McAvoy is incredible, and he does incredible things in this movie. But it's the Unbreakable side keeps getting in his way. And then you've got Bruce Willis, who is completely on autopilot as usual. He's barely trying, and I really think that that Shyamalan couldn't do the things he wanted to do because Bruce was like, "Nope, you got me for 2 days. I'm here for 2 days. That's it. I'll do 2 days, and maybe I'll act for one of them." And then the other times you're just going to have to shoot around me. That's pretty much the attitude that he gave to me anyway.
And he's given that to other directors in the past. I would like to think Shyamalan had this idea way back when he made Unbreakable. I would hope. But even then, it's not. I don't know. Go ahead, Josh.
I am wondering the same thing, too. Spending the time this weekend with all 3 of these films, 2 of them for the second time and this new one for the first one. I like that we have more to the Unbreakable story. That was, of course, the most important part. I wish that it had been revealed to me organically like a lot of people got to experience with Split. It wasn't, however. It was spoiled for me first. And Glass is like half or maybe even 60% of a really, really good movie. Where it went off the rails for me was much deeper into it, actually, once... And you can see this in the trailer. This isn't a surprise when you've got the 3 of them in a courtyard of the psychiatric hospital. That is a very
The third act is in the trailer.
Yes. It's a very mismanaged scene. We have emergency response teams, but sometimes people that are staff in the hospital aren't coming out all at once, or is it operated by 4 people, the whole hospital? If this is a guy that they just brought in, like, think what you want to about David Dunn, but you've got Kevin there. This is a guy that should have a bit more security on him, I think, instead of some lights, okay? If you don't ask questions, then you're going to fly right through this without a problem, and it's a capper to a particular film trilogy. But I have real problems with this scene. The police show up. Elijah's sitting off to the side, like no one's even touching him. The cops aren't even looking at him. In fact, the camera has to edge around the girl to see the mastermind that's been in prison for 20 years for mass murder. Then I can't reveal anything about the scene.
It's so bad we'd review it. Go ahead.
This particular scene is very bad for me. All 3 of these characters have ends. I'll just say that. And the end is
horseshit.
It is horseshit for all 3 of them. And plus, what I loved the most about Split, and it was reinvigorated for me watching it earlier today, was how Shyamalan, who does a wonderful job playing with the human psyche in his films and how we react to stressors and how he treats trauma, characters that have gone through traumas. I think that he's got something there in a lot of his films where he's talking about that, and it's the clearest work I've seen on film about this type of thing, and he really seems to get it. And it's wonderful. Starting with The Sixth Sense for me, I'm seeing that and thinking he really gives credence to this idea of people with mental illness. You know, it brings it to the forefront without it being such a tragic thing. He does that with Split to the point where he's explaining that superpowers might come as a result of your body defending itself against traumas. That's amazing. And I loved it, and this film does shit with it. There's a particular scene involving Anna Taylor-Joy towards the end. She's holding Kevin. The camera makes it seem like there's something happening to her hair, a red light surrounding her. Oh, no, it's just the cop lights behind her. It's one of the most misleading experiences in a film that I can remember. As a result, the end of this film is so disjointed and not matching up to the rest of the entire film. I can't imagine he thought of this for 18, 19 years, because if he did, stop making movies. It makes me think that Split was not his idea to have David Dunn show up in the end, and rather his producing partner Jason Blum was like,
he's always said he viewed Unbreakable as a trilogy. He always said he had a trilogy in mind.
Fair enough.
Now that doesn't mean Split was the organic sequel. But this has a grander idea that is so stupid. That's the idea I feel like he's had all along. And basically that idea is if you believe in superheroes, and you will achieve your full potential in life if you see videos that you think are real, that aren't streamed live, that just happen to pop up on YouTube.
Which is completely defiant of what Josh just pointed out. And it's such a stupid scene. Like, first of all, nobody's going to look at the footage that they're seeing on this and think, "Oh, that's real. That really happened."
Exactly.
They're going to think it's a Rooster Teeth video. They're going to think it's something that was made up by somebody on YouTube. Hey, that's really neat special effects.
And the way it was, I mean, you could have had it go to a live feed on a news station. He did do a live feed. It just didn't go anywhere. It went to their emails. It didn't. I don't know. It wasn't well thought out. Even if it was, it's a stupid idea, because just because superheroes exist doesn't mean you're going to realize your full potential. It's an eye-rolling message that totally takes away from Unbreakable and Split.
And it's cheap too. The whole thing is so cheap looking. Like I was shocked at how cheap looking this all is. I know you got to pay Bruce Willis a lot of money just to show up, but I mean, the entirety of the budget had to go to him, and thus you couldn't leave that psychiatrist's office. Like, it's got to stay entirely in the hospital for the entire movie. That was so silly, and it looked so bad.
I was thinking about, speaking of budget, this is the third film. Okay, the second one made a gargantuan amount of money compared to its budget. Unbreakable was a success, but not the unmitigated success of Split or The Sixth Sense, okay? Where's the budget for this film?
$20 million.
That's bullshit, okay? Where is it at? We've got a movie about superheroes, and I don't see a single special effect except for what they do with the Beast at times. If we had to pay Bruce Willis and that was the entirety of the budget, well, you see it. You saw it in the marketing, too. It looked cheap to me in the marketing and the trailers, everything that involved that. The title sequence even just looked cheap to me. That is so disappointing that they didn't put more resources into this. That includes Shyamalan taking his time to make the right movie. You've got 18, 19 years in between the 17 years in between the first one and the second one, and then you sneak it out really quick afterwards. Why? Especially if you didn't already have it developed. It's a very disappointing turn of events that makes 60% of a really good movie for me even that much more of a disappointment.
And see, for me, it's 60% of an okay movie. Even before that was just kind of, it was fine. And you're right. You're asking questions right off the bat. Like, they sure caught them pretty easy. And it had me going back to Unbreakable, which the movie I like the best of the three. Asking questions about the consistency with his water kryptonite. He's fighting in pools. He's busting through a gallon, and then no superhero guy just kind of holds him in a puddle. His son's right there. This guy ends up being nothing.
Yeah,
ends up being nobody. And that's how he meets his end. And that just the consistency there was so poor.
And what about superpowers for Anya Taylor-Joy and the kid?
Thank you.
I mean, wouldn't that have made sense? I mean, she's gone through a great deal of trauma herself in her life. Shouldn't that have developed her superpower, especially when she sees him die? Shouldn't that be the thing that unlocks her And the kid, when he's watching his dad die, shouldn't that be the thing? I mean, he's got his mom's death in his past, so he's got the amount of trauma you need to be a superhero, so why don't those pay off?
But even then, all he had to do was push the guy. He didn't even need the superpowers. He was on, I don't even think he was on his knees holding his head in the water. He was awkward, probably doesn't do yoga. He could easily knock him over, no problem.
I have the same question to the point where I wondered if the person holding him down had superpowers. And then it was explained to me, they stated that he was weak. The son even says he's weak or whatnot. Or somebody in the background says he's weak right now. Okay, but
he just busted through a however many gallon tank of water.
Yes, so no matter what they explained, it's still an unfortunate moment. I agree that Bruce Willis seems to be less invested in this film than Unbreakable, to the point where they're using deleted scene footage from Unbreakable in a couple of moments.
Which is why I asked if maybe he thought he had this idea way back then and was just saving these scenes for this movie that he eventually wanted to make.
Yeah, my opinion on that is no. It's just deleted footage that they cleaned up
Because Bruce Willis wasn't going to do anymore.
Like, we need you to shave, Bruce. No,
no,
you look really old, man. Please shave. Just shave.
Nope,
not going to do it.
So lazy.
Came out with half a beard shaved.
Yeah.
We haven't even talked about Samuel L. Jackson. The movie's freaking named after him.
And he doesn't even show up until halfway through. Or at least it's fully formed anyway.
And what he does, to me, is interesting then to a point. And then it's like he goes down without much of a fight. I don't know. And the introduction of a character that retcons something in the first one, I was expecting Kevin's father to show up, or seeking him out would show that there's a bunch of other superheroes hiding, or maybe his father was a superhero that was waiting to come back or something. Whatever the case may be, it becomes like a very quick change of heart in a scene that's already too active to stop to have that emotion in. Again, it contributes to the disjointed idea, but I felt that was very cheap.
And it was so contrived. It was such a contrived twist as well on top of it.
Yeah, to me, if you're going to make that link, at least put him in the building or something, not on the train.
Yeah.
Do something. No matter what, it's going to be contrived, but at least be a little bit creative with it. You don't have to do that exact same disaster, because he did 3 of them, didn't he? Or 3 or 4.
Yeah.
So put him in another one. It doesn't really matter. And then we haven't even talked about the lack of a payoff with the Sarah Paulson twist. What the hell was that? That organization meant nothing.
Nothing. They did completely ineffectual.
Make a political statement. Make something. Make them be anybody.
Yeah.
Give them a little bit of a backstory. You see the tattoo on the guy's hand over Bruce Willis's head, and you think that's going to be the payoff, and then you just see a guy sitting at a diner or bar table, and you see the tattoo, and you're like, oh, it's that guy? That's disappointing. And then it just... nothing. You don't really know who they are. You just know they don't want this being leaked.
Why do they meet in restaurants? And they wait for the last person that doesn't belong to their group to leave, and then they all start talking.
And then they close a curtain, because that always knocks out sound to your secret organization.
Just get a building. What's your problem here?
Have they never heard of a fallout shelter?
But it wasn't even like a secret organization that a comic book would have. I don't know. They don't really serve a purpose.
Yeah, we wondered in discussing the film at home and on the way back, what's the significance of the particular marking, the tattoo that they have? And the only thing that I could come up with is their version is a 3-leaf, which is the norm, and the 4-leaf is the genetic abnormality, and thus they're making sure that they're the correct Clover and not.
So he's basically made an X-Men movie.
That's exactly what Beth said. He has, because anything going forward is X-Men.
Pretty much.
That does such a disservice to Split.
Yeah, it does.
and a whole
And it
disservice
ruins-
to his entire
and it
film library
ruins
narrative.
Unbreakable. I mean, it really does just tear Unbreakable apart. And that's not, I don't know. I didn't argue that was his best movie up to this point, and this movie just totally unravels Unbreakable.
And it certainly makes Mr. Glass not as impressive as he was on Unbreakable, and limits David Dunn to a knocking down a door moment.
I know we're going to get to it, obviously, when we're talking about our classic, but that ending of Unbreakable is fantastic. That twist is just great. And it's got Bruce Willis actually acting in it. That is so wonderful. And yeah, you're right. This does not rise to anywhere near that level.
But in fairness to Bruce Willis, he read the script that we saw the movie. You know? If you look at the movies where he doesn't try versus the movies where he does try, they tend to be shitty movies.
I do wonder, though, like how much of the script had him in it, and then he's like, "No, I'm not going to do that."
That may be, but he still had that grand idea of superheroes need to exist so we can all achieve our full potential, and he clearly had that from day one when he wrote Unbreakable and wanted to do a trilogy. That was clearly where he was going with this. And that is such an eye-rolling... Even if he pulled it off, it's still an eye-rolling moment. Because, I don't know.
He was on the verge of doing something wholly original in that you state that superheroes exist, but not in the sense that we were aware. He was developing characters that were based in reality, and thus any extra thing that they were able to do was that much more believable. We didn't necessarily have to believe it just for the heck of it. What's that word that we use? Suspend disbelief. Because he had based them in reality, and they had arcs. They were like, this is happening to me. I don't like it. How do I deal with it? And then coming to a conclusion about how they felt about it in Unbreakable and in Split as well. And then this just doesn't do anything with them. We're just going to say the same things over and over again, I think. It's becoming way more disappointing to me as I'm sitting here.
Well, let's just start to tie all the movies together real quick, so I'll do this.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event for the linear, legitimate, and universally recognized Undisputed Classic.
I mean, our classic's Unbreakable. We're still going to talk about all three movies, I think. And
yeah. It's interesting, though, as I think about this and you think about Shyamalan's themes, you could really tie The Sixth Sense into this universe. I mean, essentially talking to dead people is that kid's superpower.
Oh, yeah.
Would have been great if, like, the Bryce Dallas Howard from The Village ran into that courtyard scene.
No, the Bryce Dallas Howard from Lady in the Water.
She's an alien. Who's in... Is she in The Village, too, or who's in
She's
The
in The Village, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she's his muse in both those terrible movies. I love her. I love her. And she's actually good in both of those movies.
Yeah, the closer I got to this movie, even before I started seeing reviews, had me wondering where they were going to go with it. It was like they had their two setups, which are great setups, but if he doesn't have a good idea, it's just going to be these two guys fighting. So I was kind of expecting just that, which, okay, but I still wanted to know, but at that point, why make the movie? But two, you have to have some idea, and he just didn't have an idea that was worth even, everything you're saying that, like I say, it was 60% of an okay movie. Josh said great movie.
Good.
But without that ending, without an ending, if you don't have that idea, why make the movie?
Yeah, if you follow through in the way that he followed through, then, oh boy, it makes the first two, like, really sting a little bit. Gosh. I would imagine those that thought that The Dark Knight Rises, for example, was disappointing, that it wasn't a good capper for that strong of a first two films. I would say this is far more disappointing than that, in scope and in actuality.
Yeah, Unbreakable is such a unique movie and so interestingly well made, and it creates its own color palette for it, and it's got its own mood and atmosphere that is really fascinating, and I like the slow pace of Unbreakable, and the look of it, especially the deep greens and the grays are really fantastic in that movie, and it's such an art film in so many ways, and yet it is also about comic book themes, and the way he draws Glass in that movie is really fantastic. He's such an interesting character. He's at first you don't quite know how to take him. Obviously, he seems like kind of a weirdo and kind of a bad guy, but at the same time, he does seem to push David Dunn to do good things. But then you find out, of course, it's all in the service of him finding his exact opposite, his rival in a comic book world, and it's such a great payoff, really. There are aspects of it that probably don't work, like the kidnapping scene and the fight scene at the end probably is a little bit too broad for the movie, but it has a purpose in allowing him to have a heroic moment that doesn't involve Glass, because obviously Glass can't fight him. You know, you can't have that kind of showdown with him. It works well enough, but overall it's such a great mood piece on top of just being an interesting premise.
Watching this for the first time since the theater, November 2000, I think, is when it came out originally. I was struck by my memory of liking it, but being so disappointed that was it. That was it. Just when we were starting to know something and get going, the film ends. I appreciated it for smacking me across the face, but it felt like a hit job on me as a viewer. Like, oh, I want more. Come on. And so I always said, if they ever made a sequel, I think the first film is validated because it's just the first part of a story, and that's cool. I'm going to focus on one scene in particular in this film. It harkens back to the Sixth Sense scene between Toni Collette and Haley Joel Osment in the car. The scene between David Dunn and his son at the table, it's brief, and there's very little to be done there, but it's so effective at communicating so much. That's good filmmaking there. I was comparing it to a scene earlier in Unbreakable when you see Elijah as a child, and the scene is shot entirely through the reflection of the television, and it became a little too cutesy to me. There's a scene early in the film in which the camera switches between the seat and David Dunn on the train, and it's like, okay, if you do the whole film in a unique style like that, if your camera's upside down, you're doing different angles, okay, then I can understand how that fits in, how the TV reflection fits in. But isolated like that, I felt this doesn't really work for me. I wish that he would just film the film. Stop trying to be cute in those moments. But that scene at the kitchen table is one of the stronger ones, and I can't believe that I forgot it after all of this time. Maybe the passing of time, maybe having a child, whatever the case may be that influences me to feel this way.
Well, your kids never pulled a gun on you?
Well, that scene too. I'm referring more towards the end scene in which there's nothing really said between the two. That scene is very powerful in its own right. I think Unbreakable is a very impressive film, especially when you consider after The Sixth Sense there was pressure, quote unquote, for him to do a magnificent follow-up. That's about as good of a follow-up, I think, as you can do. In the context of this trilogy, it hurts a little bit knowing that I'm not going to want to sit down and watch all three of them in a row. I'm not going to get anything from this third film that I'm going to want to tie back to. I'm going to try and forget it as much as possible.
And there's really no need to watch this with Split either. I mean, there really are two, even though they're the same universe, they're different tones, everything's just different about the two. And in a way, I just kind of feel like Glass hurt this movie. When I saw it in the theater, I was kind of like you, disappointed for different reasons. Just more of I know it's a cool twist, but we just got a twist with Sixth Sense, and it was just more. I kind of rolled my eyes at the moment. I had to go back and watch it to kind of appreciate it, but at the time I was just kind of like, well, duh. I should have saw that coming, and that's not that. I wasn't that blown away as I was that he was dead the whole time. That's a big, but. It didn't matter as much. I don't know. It just But even watching this, the water, it's inconsistent. Is it his weakness or not? Because, he can clearly do things in the water, and he doesn't die as soon as he falls in it. And that's kind of what they try to establish early on in this movie, but I don't know.
He appears to react like anyone would react if they had too much water.
Right. But that's it. Nothing more.
Right.
And then, but at the same time, I like how they base it in reality. Like, my wife's watching that. She's like, can you lift that much? I'm like, actually, at one point I could. But the difference is he's, a 40-something-year-old guy, maybe 50, and he's doing it without even thinking about it. So it makes sense. But still.
He wasn't fatigued, I think, is the main issue.
But at the same time, putting it in reality sets up Glass for failure because he didn't have a good idea to go along with it. So I don't know. I just wanted to mention that I could bench 300 pounds.
Of course.
Yeah, Split is basically grafted onto this the same way that David Dunn was kind of grafted onto Split. Because, Split is its own movie. You could watch that movie, and you don't even need that twist at the end. You don't even need David Dunn for that movie to work. Because that movie throughout is all about how great James McAvoy is and how great Anya Taylor-Joy is, and the actress who plays his psychiatrist is fantastic, and the story is exceptional. The various different characterizations that he does throughout Split are just incredible. He's such an amazing actor. He's so dynamic. He really made you feel like his body chemistry was changing, and each time he moved to a different persona. And he does a little bit of that here, but it's also a little bit more forced here because he has a lot more personalities to go through, and at times it's pushing it just a little bit too far with the number of personalities that he does. Part of what worked about Split was that you had Patricia, you had Dennis, you had Hedwig, and the Beast. And then Kevin came out for a little bit and kind of gave him another humanistic quality. And you didn't have all the other ones kind of getting in the way and making him seem almost like a puppet or like a guy who's he's like a jukebox at a certain point in this movie, or in Glass. And not that he's not good, it's just it becomes a little bit too much. You're overusing the gimmick and ruining it in many ways.
You brought up another idea introduced in Split that was mentioned in Glass that didn't quite follow through, and this idea of body chemistry being able to change and whatnot. And I thought that was very interesting. That's rooted in some reality, some studies that have been done for people with split personality, as well as people fighting off illness. There's some cool science that they allude to and never quite follow through.
Yeah, they even throw in the diabetes thing just as like hey, you remember this from Split is basically what it's there for. It doesn't pay off in any way.
James McAvoy did a wonderful job. It's hard to create all of those, we talked about it at the time, of course, all those different personalities, but also to be so physical as the Beast for a guy that never really seemed imposing to me. The way that Edward Norton transformed his body for American History X is something that comes to mind, but this one to me is much more effective because of the way that he contorts his facial expressions, his shoulders and everything like that. It's far more impressive of a job for him to do. Some of it's CGI, the vein popping and whatnot, but
some of it's not. I mean, a lot of like the shoulder stuff, I don't think it. I mean, the muscles are. It's neat how he goes. I mean, essentially, it's just flexing, but he's still the way he does it, and then seemingly in the next breath goes back to normal, which he does more in this one than he did in for that at least, because for the most part he's building up to the Beast and Split, and this he's back and forth. So I think it's kind of neat. To me, he's the highlight of the movie.
Yeah.
But I do think that's really impressive, the physical acting that he's doing in this role.
You mentioned the Beast, and that's another interesting aspect, because what made the Beast so interesting in Split was building to him and building the tension towards revealing the Beast until finally in the third act the Beast is finally fully revealed, and you're like, wow, that's amazing. And here you got the Beast, in the first act, and that's cool and all, but okay, I know you got to do that, but I thought when the way they built it up in the first one that once the beast is out, and now he's bouncing between his personas again.
But now the beast is just there to protect Kevin, except for when he gets shot. At least in the glass and split, he's fine. But it's. I don't know. It's just disappointing. And part of me is like, well, what if they made Glass 3 different movies, But in the end, if he's still going to go to that same overall theme of realize your full potential, boys and girls, it's going to suck and you're going to roll your eyes and you're not going to care. Take a shot at the superhero movies that are out there. Do something. Make a stand. Take a political move. Just do something with it. And instead, he just makes you roll your eyes. All right.
Wouldn't it have been great if, like, that organization, like, everyone leaves the room in the restaurant, and they all go quiet for a moment, then they all put on their red hats.
He's getting there with the imagery of the biggest tower in Philadelphia being built. I don't know if that's a real tower or not.
No, it was.
I don't think it is.
It was specifically just a ripoff of the Stark Tower because they called it a marvel. Remember in the movie, it's referred to as a marvel.
Gosh, well now I realize it.
That was all just a side thing to try and convince you that there was more of a budget to the movie.
I see.
Which, by the way, that was the worst, like, ugly CGI. The CGI of that building in the background was so bad it looked like a bad matte painting as opposed to CGI.
$20 million budget.
Which I'm surprised that's all he got for this based on the success of Split.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Yeah, but even then, I don't know that he was... I just don't think he was afraid to make a stand anywhere. Take it... And to me, if you go there that way, the Trump, the Republicans, if you do that, it's almost too easy. But just do something. Take some sort of stand and make it make sense. And instead, he just kind of... They're just this group we don't know anything about. They have tattoos.
Sarah Paulson is a much better actress than what she shows in Glass, that's for sure.
Yeah. All right. Because we have nothing that's turning 30 this week, we decided to run all of Shyamalan's movies through Flickchart. And we'll start with The Sixth Sense. And that or Black Christmas 2006.
Sixth Sense.
Yes.
What the fuck?
I have not seen that one.
Well, I picked The Sixth Sense. And that, you're supposed to run through all of them, and then it goes to Dumb and Dumber or The Sting. And that's not part of this game. Re-rank this movie, please. Currently, The Sixth Sense is at 161. The Sixth Sense or Zombieland?
Sixth Sense.
Agreed?
I agree as well. The Sixth Sense or Pan's Labyrinth?
Sixth Sense.
Yeah, that's a really close duo right there. I'll go with Sixth Sense as well.
Yeah, it comes down to I'd watch The Sixth Sense over Pan's Labyrinth. The Sixth Sense or Jerry Maguire?
Jerry Maguire.
Oh. I'll go with The Sixth Sense barely.
I think I'll go Jerry Maguire barely. The Sixth Sense or Coraline?
The Sixth Sense.
Agreed, but
Coraline's
that's another
really good
movie.
though, yeah.
The Sixth Sense or Analyze This?
Sixth Sense.
Agreed.
The Sixth Sense or E.T.?
Sixth Sense.
E.T.
I'll go The Sixth Sense. The Sixth Sense or Inspector Gadget? Why the hell is that?
The Sixth Sense.
Yeah, for sure.
The Sixth Sense or Vertigo?
Vertigo.
Sixth Sense.
I'll go Vertigo. The Sixth Sense has moved up to number 64, right behind Aliens, and right before Inspector Gadget, which is right ahead of Alien.
I have no idea how.
I don't
remember.
That.
Never voted in
I
favor
don't
of that
remember
movie.
ever voting for Instant. I don't remember even seeing it.
You know, Flickchart, sometimes, though, you'll click something, and then it's like, it's taking a little while, and then you might erroneously click, and all of a sudden, you've got Inspector Gadget as 67.
Maybe one time Sean and I decided to vote against Alien for some reason.
Yeah.
And that was the only time it came up. All right, let's give Unbreakable a shot. Unbreakable or Black Christmas 2006?
Unbreakable.
Agreed?
Unbreakable or Zombieland?
Unbreakable.
Agreed?
Unbreakable or Pan's Labyrinth?
Pan's Labyrinth.
Pan's Labyrinth.
Yeah. I might have picked Unbreakable a week ago. Unbreakable or Stand By Me?
Unbreakable.
Unbreakable.
Unbreakable or Big Fish?
Unbreakable.
That's one that requires a rewatch. A Big Fish currently.
I'm going to say Unbreakable, but maybe a week from now I might take Big Fish.
Right.
Unbreakable or Wedding Crashers?
Unbreakable.
Agreed.
Unbreakable or District 9?
Unbreakable.
Yeah, I agree, but it's barely.
Unbreakable. Unbreakable or Hot Fuzz?
Unbreakable.
Yeah, for sure.
Unbreakable or The Wrestler?
The Wrestler.
Yeah, haven't seen it, so.
I think I would go The Wrestler too. Where did we have this? Oh, no. Unbreakable is 124 between The Wrestler and Kill Bill Volume 1. Just so you know, Inspector Gadget is ahead of all of those. That may be something to do after the credits.
Yes.
What was next? Signs?
Signs.
Let's see how this one goes. I'm assuming Signs are Black Christmas. Yes. 2006 version.
Signs.
Signs.
Signs of the Matrix.
That is tough. I'm going to go with Signs.
I'll take The Matrix.
It's Signs for me, but I feel like I don't know. I don't like The Matrix. Signs or Pan's Labyrinth?
Pan's Labyrinth.
Agreed?
Signs or Predator?
Signs.
Predator.
That's Signs. Signs or Philadelphia?
Signs.
I'll take Philadelphia.
I'll go with Philadelphia. Signs or The Apartment?
The Apartment.
The Apartment.
Signs or The Prestige?
Signs.
Signs.
I might have taken The Prestige in that one, but I don't know. Signs or The Crow?
Signs.
The Crow.
At the moment, Signs, but I need to revisit The Crow. Signs or Being John Malkovich?
Being John Malkovich.
Me too.
Yeah. Signs is 170 between The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly and The Crow. Behind Inspector Gadget. What's that? Village?
The Village.
Yeah, I'd love to bring The Crow to the show sometime, but I don't know if Alex Proyas is going to get a job anytime soon.
But Brandon Lee... Oh, wait.
Oh. And that remake is dead. Like, Jason Momoa was attached.
Oh, yeah?
Like, Bradley Cooper was attached. I mean, it's gone through everyone. It's dead.
Maybe it'll end up on Netflix. The Village or Black Christmas 2006?
The Village.
Village.
I will take The Village. The Village or Adventureland?
Adventureland.
Adventureland.
Yeah.
Like, The Village is like 2/3 of a pretty good movie, and then the third act is just bullshit.
Man, that ending that was a get my control at the ready, throwing it at the screen type of situation.
What garbage.
See, I actually like The Village. And now I don't ask questions. You know, when, Sean was saying to me before you got here that just be Amish. Why? I'm like, well, if I ask that question, sure. But I don't mind I don't mind the twist. Forgetting that question, but that is a valid question. The Village or Altered States?
I don't remember Altered States very well. I'll say Altered States.
I'm going to go with Altered
third act
States
is
too.
really bad.
Yeah, it's. I watched that movie about 11 years ago or so for the first time. It had some very interesting imagery. I'm pretty sure that's a Cronenberg movie.
Yeah, I think that's why I voted for it, honestly.
The Village or Constantine?
Constantine. Even with Gavin Rossdale.
I'd go The Village on that one. The Village or Moonlight?
Moonlight.
You sure? The Village or The Sting?
Jeez, I don't care for either of those movies, but I guess The Sting is a better movie.
Definitely The Sting for me.
The Village or Glory?
Glory.
The Village or Rush Hour?
Rush Hour.
Yes! My memory tells me that Rush Hour has failed every one of these flowchart tests, so very happy.
The Village or Top Gun?
Top Gun.
Top Gun.
I'd take The Village over Top Gun. The Village or The Thin Red Line?
Thin Red Line.
Oh, that requires a rewatch as well, because that was a tough one. But I think when you're 19 and you're watching all these good films at the time, and then you watch A Thin Red Line, which is nothing like anything that I had been watching, it was a tough time for that to come along. So I'll currently take the other one.
Really? Cool. I'll go with you. 484 between Top Gun and The Thin Red Line. Right by Black Christmas 2006. All right, now I'm lost.
Lady in the Water.
I think I kind of stopped watching M. Night movies after this.
2005 was Lady in the Water, if I'm not mistaken.
6.
Or
Or at least that's what Flickchart said.
yeah.
Add to my Flickchart. We must have never done this.
Oh, wow.
Thin Red Line or Lady in the Water?
Thin Red Line.
Lady in the Water currently.
I'll go with Thin Red Line because Lady in the Water is the one I dislike the most. Lady in the Water or Goldfinger?
A Lady in the Water.
Goldfinger.
I hate James Bond.
I know. It's going to
I'll
lose.
go with Goldfinger.
Hey! That's the one I made you watch, if I'm not mistaken there, too.
Lady in the Water, Never Been Kissed.
Never Been Kissed.
Yeah, agreed.
Lady in the Water or Hellboy, The Golden Army? Hellboy 2.
Hellboy, I guess.
I'll go Lady in the Water. The Hellboy stuff is just so...
I haven't seen it, but I'll go Hellboy. I hate Lady in the Water. Like
it swung big.
It
That's
really
the one
did,
thing
though.
that I
fine, but it
keep in
missed.
mind. Yes, but...
Daredevil with Ben Affleck or Lady in the Water?
Daredevil.
Daredevil.
The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy or Lady in the Water?
I don't know. I mean, because I appreciate just how big Lady in the Water goes as Hitchhiker.
I will go Lady in the Water because Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is one of the worst things I have ever seen. Definitely top 50 worst films for me. I hear the book is amazing. My wife loves it. My son is reading it as we speak.
I don't know. I just even if I don't even know how big he truly swung. Like in theory, you could say he swung big on glass, but when you really take a look at it, he didn't have an idea. So I don't really care what he was swinging. His idea sucked, so it didn't.
That's the thing with Lady in the Water, though. It develops its whole own mythos. He said he came up with it from his son's
story, yeah.
like nightmares or dreams or something like that. And then he's got this like language that he's using, and Paul Giamatti is completely committed to his shitty performance, and so is Bryce Dallas Howard. So it's like
she's actually pretty good.
It reminds me of if Jupiter Ascending was consistent.
So
At least they swung big.
So it's more like the Tree of Life meets Shark Girl and Aqua Boy, whatever the hell that Robert Rodriguez movie is. I mean, because that's literally his son made up stories while they're hanging out in the pool, and Robert Rodriguez made a movie about it. Or maybe it's more I don't know. He may have all of that, but I don't think he had an idea to go along with it, which is the problem. And that matters. If you don't have an idea to go along with your weird idea, with your premise, it doesn't work. Like, he unraveled Unbreakable. If we did this 2 weeks from now, I feel like Unbreakable would be lower than it was. I'm still processing how much he's unraveled that. Lady in the Water or Hancock?
Hancock.
Yeah. It's a middling film, but better than Lady in the Water.
Lady in the Water, Alien Resurrection.
Lady in the Water.
Oh, shit. Heart palpitations. Fishing with Gandhi.
I'd go Alien Resurrection, but I'll let you do.
I can't consciously vote for Alien Resurrection unless it was up against like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy or
Lady in the Water versus Armageddon.
Lady in the Water.
I'll go Armageddon.
Fuck Armageddon.
Armageddon
so
is
much.
a far superior movie to Lady in the Water.
Once I stopped taking Armageddon seriously,
I hate Armageddon.
then all of a sudden it was like, all right,
I
fine.
hate it so much.
Lady in the Water or Troy?
Troy, kinda.
Troy is really pretty and has all of the right actors in the right spots, with Wolfgang Peterson as the director, and that's where they go wrong. They don't take it seriously at all, and what a wonderful idea to have made into a film. The Iliad and the Odyssey should be like our number one all-time adventure war films. Everything. It's got it all, and no one has ever been able to do it correctly.
Brad Pitt's really dreamy.
Oh yeah, he is a golden god, like literally in Troy. I'd have done him.
Lady in the Water is ranked 967 between Troy and Alien Resurrection. 969 is Lincoln. 970 is Happy Gilmore. Lincoln is one better than Happy Gilmore, just so you know. And 900 and however many worse than Inspector Gadget. What's after Lady in the Water?
The Happening.
Oy.
I actually don't mind this movie as much.
What about the bees, guys? Have you heard about the bees? Oh, Blackwater, keep on rolling.
Gonna get sued.
I'm giving Josh flashbacks.
Developed to Twitch.
The Happening or Black Christmas 2006?
Black Christmas.
Black Christmas.
I'll go The Happening. The Happening or Lemony Snicket's a series of
Lemony Snicket.
Yeah, I agreed.
Go The Happening. The Happening or Dead Presidents?
Dead Presidents.
Dead Presidents.
Yes.
Hughes Brothers.
The Happening or Mad Max?
Mad Max.
Mad Max.
I agree. The Happening or Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull?
Indiana Jones.
Thank you. Indiana Jones.
I'll go with The Happening.
Ah!
The Happening or American Werewolf in London?
American Werewolf in London.
I have not seen that yet. I saw the Abominable Paris one, but...
The Happening or A Trip to the Moon 1902?
I mean, it would be A Trip to the Moon.
Yeah, I think I've basically seen it because I've seen Hugo. So
Have you seen the Smashing Pumpkins video for Tonight?
Yes, I have.
So there you go.
Okay.
You've seen it.
Yeah.
The Happening or Alien Resurrection?
Alien Resurrection.
God damn it.
That's how much I hate The Happening.
I'll go with The Happening.
All right, I don't have to say anything. Thanks.
We split. I said The Happening, he said Alien Resurrection.
Oh.
Yeah, you have to
okay,
pick.
okay.
You have to pick.
And I can't refresh because we picked The Happening to decide, so it's hard to play the Fishing with Gandhi card.
I'll take the script for Alien Resurrection.
The Happening or Happy Gilmore?
You still got yours.
Fishing with Gandhi.
The thing is, I can't refresh or do anything, so I have to make a decision with these.
That's fine. You two make the decision.
Happy Gilmore.
Happy Gilmore. 971 right after Happy Gilmore. What's after The Happening?
Oh, it's
Last
the Last
Airbender?
Airbender, yeah.
I haven't even seen it.
I haven't seen it either.
Nor have I seen After Earth.
I haven't seen that either.
All right, we can skip those two and move on to The Visit.
The Comeback. All right. The Visit or Black Christmas 2006.
The Visit.
Visit?
The Visit or Adventureland.
Adventureland.
I'll take The Visit.
I'll take The Visit as well. The Visit or Eyes Wide Shut.
Eyes Wide Shut.
Eyes Wide Shut.
I'll take The Visit, but I'd like to see Eyes Wide Shut again. The Visit or Predator.
The Visit.
Predator.
The Visit. The Visit or Big Fish.
The Visit.
Big Fish.
It's The Visit, but again, I'd need to see Big Fish again. The Visit or Planet of the Apes, 1968.
The Visit.
Agreed.
Me too. I was worried I'd be alone on that one. The Visit or Dead Poet Society.
Dead Poet Society.
Also agreed.
The Visit or The Silence of the Lambs.
Silence of the Lambs.
Yep.
The Visit or The Shawshank Redemption.
The Visit.
Yeah, I saw that one coming. Shawshank.
I feel like I'm supposed to say The Visit and Shawshank's supposed to win.
Shawshank is desperately overrated.
I agree. The Visit or Die Hard.
Die Hard.
Die Hard.
I think I'd rather watch The Visit personally, but that's The Visit lies at 134 between Die Hard and The Shawshank Redemption.
Wow.
Surprisingly high.
So Split.
Split.
You've never ranked this one either. Split or Black Christmas 06?
Split.
Yep.
Split or Adventureland?
Split.
Yep.
Split or Eyes Wide Shut?
Split.
Oh man, that's a hard one. I'll go Split.
Yeah, I need to see Eyes Wide Shut again. Split or Jerry Maguire?
Jerry Maguire.
Jerry Maguire.
Split or Austin Powers and Goldmember?
Split.
Split.
Split or The Godfather?
The Godfather.
Split.
The Godfather. Split or The Chronicles of Riddick?
Split.
Split. Sorry, Chronicles of Riddick. We'll come for you again.
Split or Ocean's 13?
Split.
Yep.
Split or Ocean's 11?
Split.
If you'd asked me after I first saw Ocean's 11, had I, been able to compare these two then, I would have said Ocean's 11. But over time, all of the play that franchise has gotten, Split is far more interesting to me.
Split lands at number 77 between Analyze This and Ocean's 11. I wish we would have got Analyze This.
Right.
Yeah, no
to put it between Analyze This and The Godfather, but
Analyze This is way too high.
And Lincoln's way too low. All right, Glass.
Yes, Glass.
Would you say that Lincoln laid a log when we played Flickchart?
Glass isn't in here yet.
Oh, really? Oh, that's weird.
What the hell?
Come on, Flick Chart. Get with it.
I have to do Glass another day.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, there it is. There it is. Buried at the bottom of all the movies with Glass in the title. I had to search through. Glass, The Thin Red Line.
Thin Red Line.
Yes, agreed.
Glass or Lemony Snicket's, a series of unfortunate events.
Lemony Snicket.
Agreed.
Glass or Get Smart, 2008.
Get Smart.
Yeah, it does have some fun moments with the rock in it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't fall apart at the end.
Yeah.
Glass or Commando?
Commando.
Glass.
Really? I'll go Commando as much as I hate Commando.
That was a hard one. I was hoping big things for that one.
Glass or Van Helsing?
Glass.
Glass.
Glass or Hook?
Hook.
Glass.
Hook. Wow. Glass at the Return of Jafar.
Oh, the direct-to-video sequel of Aladdin?
Aladdin, yeah.
Return of Jafar.
I have not seen any of the direct-to-video.
That's one of the few I've seen, and I'll take that over Glass. Glass or Shallow Grave? I have not seen Shallow Grave. 1994.
Oh, that's 94, you said? Okay. There was a movie with Charlton Copley, I think, named Shallow Grave. We watched the trailer for. I can't remember if I actually watched that or not.
Not that movie, though.
Okay.
Got another movie then to go with.
I can't refresh it, so I'll just pick Shallow Grave, because why not? Ben Affleck, Daredevil, or Glass?
Ben Affleck, Daredevil.
Daredevil.
Kingdom of the Crystal Skull or Glass?
Crystal Skull.
Agreed.
Yeah, that's fine. Wish we could compare Glass to other Shyamalan movies. So Glass lands between Van Helsing and Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of a Crystal Skull.
I mean, Glass would certainly rank ahead of Last Airbender, After Earth, The Happening for me.
I put The Happening ahead.
I would not, but it would be behind Lady in the Water, and it would be behind The Village for sure.
See, the thing with The Happening is it's a B movie. He just didn't realize it was a B movie, but he said it was in all the interviews, so there's kind of this funny charm to that he didn't make the movie he thought he made. That I found funny. Did I lose all my sound bites? There we go. They didn't go anywhere. All right. That is most of our show. Next week, we have The Kid Who Would Be King and Serenity.
Are you forgetting the most important movie of the week?
Oh, we're going to get there.
All right.
I thought you wanted to do that with after the credits.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've read it through Flickchart, sure.
All right, we can do it before the credits. We watched Supervan.
Supervan!
And you know how we talk about movies like Sharknado or whatever, where it's like, I'd love to see the boardroom where they sit in there pitching this idea, and sometimes the idea is funnier than the movie, and why even make the movie because you're not going to top the idea. Us talking about watching Supervan was way better than us actually watching Supervan. And I started and I was having fun with it for a while,
right?
And then it kept going. Then there was a wet t-shirt contest, but it was rated PG, so it got, I don't know, even Jason Mollett turned it off. So it started out fun, and then it just kind of got repetitive and boring and unintelligible.
Unintelligible, yeah. This is one of the worst edited movies ever made. The guy doesn't know how to end a scene. It's clear that Lamar Card was replaced on Clones by a guy who actually knew how to make a movie, because this is him all by himself, and he doesn't know what the hell he's doing. No scene ends in this movie. It just kind of gets cut off, just like slashed to go to the next scene. There is no narrative at all. The main characters disappear for long periods of time while we're introduced to characters that do not matter to this story in any way and are given no weight or personality other than he's a priest, but he has no importance whatsoever other than his wife's a slut who's sleeping with everybody at the van freakout. They call it a freakout, this van gathering. And did you know they're called vanners? These van people, they're called vanners. So they're all getting together to this big van freakout, and they've all got these elaborate vans with the giant paintings on the side, but not all of them have paintings on the side. I'm like, why do you even have a van if you don't have an elaborate painting on the side? What are you even here for? And so there's various van competitions that take place, but you're not really sure exactly what the point of any of them are. Like they're just weaving through cones at one point. Like who's best at weaving through the cones? They're not even timing it for speed. Like, and of course the super van's going to win that. And the super van then wins the final competition, which is basically driving your van up a hill, of a muddy hill. That's the whole competition. Who can get highest on this muddy hill?
The music in the movie is like the free versions of a bunch of songs from Woodstock.
but with van related lyrics.
Right, yeah. So you kind of got the melody from, some of that 1969 era folk rock music, but not that song badly remade with Van lyrics.
Any by Van Morrison?
No.
No, but I think one of them's by Sammy Johns.
Yeah, it
Who,
just
of course, is best known for the song Chevy Van.
Oh.
But which is not in this movie, by the way.
No. Yeah, it was fun for 10, 15, 20 minutes, and then it just gradually got less and less fun.
Why did they make the super van sound like that?
What kind of sound are we talking about here? Since, to the listeners, I didn't see the movie, but like
Jason
broken
turned it off.
bagpipes.
Jason turned it off because of the sound effects. It was so annoying and bad. And it is on YouTube, so I don't know if it's a rough, what version this is. If maybe there's a masterpiece out there about this that just hasn't seen the light
that has
of
an
day.
actual narrative and characters.
Doubt it. In a way, it's ahead of its time. It is a TNA comedy from like Porky's, but it's PG, and it's it came out way before those movies did, but it also doesn't have the balls to truly be a TNA comedy.
It's such complete nonsense. Like, they have this whole elaborate setup at the end where they have this woman who is sleeping with the main bad guy, I guess, who's cheating on his wife at this giant van gathering, but it means nothing to the narrative whatsoever. Like, they're not even using it to blackmail him. They're playing it for the entire van audience that this guy's having sex with a woman in his limousine, but it does not have any payoff whatsoever to the story.
Yeah, I mean, they clearly knew they were making a bad movie because the characters are intentionally stupid, but at the same time, it doesn't have that, your lead's not Kurt Russell in Used Cars, your bad guy is not, whoever the bad guy was.
The lead is barely existent in this movie. Like, he's almost just not there.
But he's got no charisma. He's
none.
just...
There's a one point in this movie where he saves the main female character from being raped, and it's like she's almost angry at him for it, and then he's like, his reaction to saving her is bizarre. Like, are you okay? I was just being raped by bikers, but yeah, I'm cool. Then he accidentally backs his original van into a car crusher. How do you not know you're backing into a car crusher? But then that gets topped by something even dumber when a guy who's chasing them on a motorcycle rides his motorcycle tire first into the car crusher chasing after the van. Like, what did he... And you can see him, he's trying to pull the bike out of it. It's already half crushed. He's trying to still pull the thing out of it.
So the car crusher is the main set piece in this, whereas in the clones, the roller coaster was the main set piece. Yes?
And the van.
It
was a weird looking van.
That was in the first act.
Okay.
That was the first act of this movie, was with the car crusher.
Sean tweeted something along the lines of he's watched foreign films that without the subtitles he could understand more than this movie.
Yeah, the CB talk is its own language. It's totally, completely bizarre. You cannot understand a word of that.
Okay. Now, from somebody that hasn't seen it, what I thought this would be, when you say the word super van, I'm like, ooh, it's a van that has a mind of its own, perhaps, right?
No.
Automated, No,
really.
not so much.
The main thing this van does, the windows open in the front. Like, that is the main feature
They
of this
kind of
van.
want it to do that, but they don't really go anywhere with it.
Okay.
The van is not entirely super.
It just looks not like a van. It has a weird shape.
If it rolled over, it would kill you because of all the glass.
Okay, now I saw a picture of the actual van itself, and it looked like it would actually be an automated thing.
And the van itself is still legendary. Like, the guy who created it, they put him in the movie because he was so legendary. George Barris is the guy who created the super van, and it actually sold for multiple millions of dollars to an auction 3 years ago.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Go figure. Do they name all of their vans that are going up the hill?
No, I mean, well, yeah, kind of. There's one called Gun Runner. And why it's called that, we have no idea, because he's not a gun runner at all. Or at least they don't show him in any way being a gun runner.
So it's not just a clever name.
But the super van's actual name is Vandora.
Oh. I would have called mine Vincent, so that when I started driving and I could say, Vincent, van, go.
But
was prepared for that one.
Is that really loud in your guys' headphones?
It's all right. He's only got one ear, so it's
Yeah,
Well, I want to keep
pick up
that,
one.
though. I'm trying to find a Facebook. Michael from the Awesome 80s podcast, he said if it's anything like The Big Bus, I'm totally down. I did not watch the trailer for that, but he did post it.
The Big Bus.
The Big Bus.
Yeah, and then right after that, I'm 3 minutes in and feel like I should stop just in case it's peaked. Jason got 36 minutes in and then quit. And
That's pretty brave.
I don't blame him. I mean, really, if you just watch opening credits, you get the fun little Supervan song, and then you're done. You're good.
But you would miss out on all that great CB talk.
And the white T-shirt contest.
That shows no boobs.
One of them had a red shirt. I mean, it just doesn't. Anyway, that is our show. Next week, Serenity, The Kid Who Would Be King. Our classic is Serenity. I don't think it has anything to do with the Serenity, but
Nope.
It'll be fun. It's January. We need to entertain ourselves, plus not work too hard yet.
Have either of you seen the Firefly show?
I never saw the show, but I saw the Serenity movie, and I loved it.
I have not
Okay.
seen either one.
I watched the entire Firefly show at recommendations of many people that said if you were disappointed in Alien Resurrection and the dynamic of what Joss Whedon was attempting to do with that, you should watch Firefly. And I really disliked the show. It was just way too weird. The Western setting was goofy, blah, blah, blah. But Serenity is... it's almost polar opposite. You've got the same cast, but the film itself is a whole lot of fun and a bigger budget. I really enjoyed it, so I'm curious to see of the one of us that hasn't seen it, what you'll think of this, not knowing anything about Firefly. You know,
What do you think I'll think of it?
He already hates it.
No. I have an open mind. I have no idea what it's about. I know nothing about it whatsoever. Do you think I'll like it or not? Or do you not want me to know yet?
I think when you are when you see stuff like this that's got a bit of a mythology behind it, you usually say, it's all right. It just, doesn't.
Not my thing, kind of.
Not your thing. I think that's probably where you'll get to with this. But
You definitely hate Serenity fans.
This Serenity?
Yeah.
I mean, I've barely even heard of this movie.
Firefly had a pretty strong following. Lots of
The
wanting
show was
to come back.
The show was never a hit in terms of ratings, but the fans were so ravenous about it that they made the movie. So that tells you just how weird these fans are.
Serenity is based on the TV show?
Yes. Yeah, and there are villains, aliens, whatever that you might want to call them in this. That it's a pretty good looking beast, creature, whatever the case may be. I enjoy that part.
It's Chiwetel Ejiofor, isn't it?
He is the villain in that he's working for whatever government agency, and he's an assassin, and that's very effective. Chiwetel Ejiofor is a really great part of this movie, but the outside force, kind of like the extragalactic aliens or whatever that go throughout this space, and eat people.
All right, now you're ruining it. Look at it. I can see his eyes beginning to glaze over. Let's just want to watch the movie.
It doesn't have the same kind of structure as like Star Wars, Star Trek, et cetera, et cetera. It's more camaraderie with a group of people led by Nathan Fillion, which I'm a big fan of his. He's mostly a TV actor, and you can understand after seeing something like this why that would be the case, but I've still always liked him. I've wanted him to be Green Lantern for quite a long time.
Okay. We'll see.
You guys can borrow my copy, too, if you want.
Yeah.
I own it.
Oh, good. You can borrow my copy if you want.
I'm sure it's on Amazon. Hopefully. Before we end the show, I do want to thank our Patreon supporters. If you want to be a Patreon supporter, head over to ihatecritics.net/Patreon, and we'll start with our key grip level in Jason Bryant and Charlie Messing. Our character actor is Josh Paul, Christina Cato, and Cousin Jeff.
I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
Our special effects level, Corey from IVNV and Sarah Morel.
That's right.
May the force be with you.
Our associate producer, Jason Mollett.
Everybody has to eat shaving cream once in a while.
And our movie stars, Uncle Jeff and Dave Severs.
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
IHateCritics.net/Patreon to be a Patreon supporter. We also have the PayPal link. And don't forget our merchandise, IHateCritics.net. Click on the podcast merch tab. And there's also the PayPal if you just want to make a donation as well. That's up there. Subscribe on iTunes, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Rate and review the show. Let us know about it, and we'll read it on the air. Otherwise, we'll see you next week.
That ought to do it. Thanks very much, Ray.
And we're the three best friends that anybody could have. We're the three best friends that anyone could have. We're the three best friends that anyone can have. And we'll never, ever, 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 ever leave each other. We're the best three friends that anybody could have. I mean the three best friends that anybody could have. That's right, the three best friends.
Inspector Gadget or Black Christmas 06?
Black Christmas.
Yeah, agreed.
Wait, does Black Christmas then go up?
No.
Okay.
Well, technically it goes up 1 because Inspector Gadget drops down.
It doesn't replace
420. Inspector Gadget or Zootopia?
Zootopia.
Oh,
Come on, Zootopia is better than
Zootopia.
Inspector Gadget.
but I might take Inspect Her Gadget over Zootopia. No, I'm kidding. It's Zootopia.
Inspector Gadget or Major League?
Major League.
Major League.
Inspector Gadget or The Last Samurai?
Last Samurai.
Yep.
Inspector Gadget or Van Helsing?
Oh, man, that is rough. Van Helsing.
Van Helsing.
Inspector Gadget or Forrest Gump?
Inspector Gadget.